Have you ever felt that wave of panic wash over you, your heart racing, your mind spinning with oneness? That feeling when your body seems to be betraying you, responding to an invisible threat? If you're nodding right now, you're one of millions who understand what anxiety truly feels like from the inside. Today, we're diving into a topic many of us experience, but few discuss openly: managing anxiety without reaching for medication. Now, before we continue, I want to be clear: medication has its place and has helped countless people. But what about those seeking additional tools, or those who prefer to explore non-pharmaceutical approaches first? That's our focus today. In a world that seems designed to keep us constantly on edge, anxiety has become almost expected. The relentless notifications, the pressure to achieve, the global uncertainty, it's no wonder so many of us feel our nervous systems constantly firing. That beneath the common understanding of anxiety lies a more complex reality that few discuss: the possibility that we have more control over our response to anxiety than we might believe. And that's what I hope you'll discover as we move through today's conversation. Let's begin with something that might surprise you. Anxiety itself isn't the enemy. It's an ancient survival mechanism, a physiological response designed to keep us safe. The problem isn't the anxiety. It's when this response gets triggered inappropriately or becomes chronic. Understanding this distinction is our first key to managing anxiety without medication. Think about anxiety as an overprotective friend who's lost perspective. This friend, your nervous system, is trying to protect you, but it's identifying threats where none exist. When you understand that your body is attempting to help you, not hurt you, you can begin responding differently to anxiety symptoms. Rather than fighting against them, which often intensifies the experience, you can acknowledge them. I notice my heart is racing. I notice my thoughts are speeding up. My body thinks I'm in danger, but I'm actually safe. This approach, often called mindful awareness, creates space between you and the anxiety. You're no longer swept away in the current. You're standing on the shore, observing it. Research from institutions like Harvard Medical School suggests that this type of mindful acknowledgement can actually reduce the intensity and duration of anxiety episodes over time. It's not about suppressing the experience, but changing your relationship to it. The second principle for managing anxiety naturally involves understanding the body-mind connection more deeply than most conventional approaches suggest. Your physical state profoundly influences your mental state, often in ways we don't immediately recognize. This is where the powerful practice of deliberately changing your physical state comes in. When anxiety strikes, your breathing becomes shallow, your muscles tense, and your posture often collapses. By consciously intervening in these physical patterns, you can send powerful signals back to your brain that you're safe. Deep, diaphragmatic breathing, where your belly expands on the inhale rather than your chest, activates your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest mode that counteracts anxiety's fight or flight response. Try this. Place one hand on your chest and one on your belly. Take a slow breath in through your nose for a count of 4, making sure your belly hand rises more than your chest hand. Hold briefly, then exhale for a count of 6 through slightly pursed lips. This extended exhale is particularly effective at triggering the relaxation response. Even 3 minutes of this breathing can measurably reduce anxiety symptoms. Beyond breathing, movement breaks the anxiety cycle in powerful ways. When anxiety floods your system with adrenaline and cortisol, these stress hormones need somewhere to go. Regular exercise helps metabolize these hormones, but even in the moment, movement helps. Simple actions like shoulder rolls, a brisk walk, or gentle stretching can disperse that anxious energy and shift your physiological state. Before we continue with the third approach, I want to take a moment to connect with you. If you're finding value in this deeper dive into anxiety management, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I'm committed to bringing you content that goes beyond surface-level advice and explores the nuances of mental wellness in ways that respect your intelligence and experience. Subscribing ensures you won't miss future videos where we'll continue exploring these less discussed aspects of psychological well-being. Now, let's get back to our conversation. The third approach to managing anxiety without medication focuses on restructuring your relationship with your thoughts. Cognitive restructuring isn't about positive thinking, it's about accurate thinking. Anxiety thrives on cognitive distortions, mental shortcuts that lead us to inaccurate, usually negative conclusions. One of the most common is catastrophizing. Jump into the worst possible conclusion. Your boss wants to speak with you, and suddenly you're certain you're being fired. Your friend doesn't respond to a text, and you're convinced they're angry with you. Anxiety loves these leaps of logic because they keep you in a state of high alert. The antidote isn't telling yourself everything will be fine. It's asking better questions. What evidence do I actually have for this conclusion? What are other possible explanations? If a friend told me they were thinking this way, what would I say to them? This isn't about dismissing legitimate concerns. It's about bringing your thinking back into proportion with reality. Another powerful cognitive tool is what psychologists call decatastrophizing. When anxiety has you convinced disaster is imminent, ask yourself, if the worst did happen, how would I cope? What resources do I have? Who would support me? This approach acknowledges your fears while strengthening your sense of capability and resilience. Our fourth approach moves beyond individual practices to consider the profound impact of our social connections. Humans are inherently social creatures, and isolation can amplify anxiety dramatically. What's less discussed is the specific type of social connection that helps with anxiety, what researchers call co-regulation. When we're in the presence of calm, regulated people who make us feel safe, our nervous systems actually synchronize with theirs. This is why a reassuring presence can sometimes ease anxiety when no words could. It's a biological process, not just an emotional one. This doesn't mean you need someone else to manage your anxiety. Rather, it suggests strategically building relationships with people who have a calming effect on you. For some, this might be a therapist or coach, but it could also be certain friends, family members, or even pets who help your nervous system find its balance again. Importantly, this approach also invites us to be mindful of relationships that dysregulate us, people who consistently leave us feeling more anxious, drained, or on edge. Without assigning blame, we can recognize that some interactions require stronger boundaries or different approaches to preserve our mental well-being. The final approach I want to share today is perhaps the most overlooked, working with the environment around you to support a calmer nervous system. Your physical surroundings and daily routines have a profound impact on your baseline anxiety levels. Consider how your living and working spaces affect you. Clutter, excess noise, harsh lighting, and even certain colors can subtly elevate stress levels over time. Creating environments that signal safety to your nervous system, with elements like natural materials, plants, adequate personal space, and appropriate lighting, can reduce your vulnerability to anxiety. Equally important is creating predictability in your routines. The human brain consumes enormous energy making decisions and navigating uncertainty. By establishing consistent patterns for sleep, meals, work, and relaxation, you reduce the cognitive load on your system, freeing up resources to better manage stress when it does arise. Digital environments deserve special attention. The constant availability of news, social media, and work communications creates a state of perpetual alertness that's fundamentally incompatible with a regulated nervous system. Creating clear boundaries around technology use, especially in the hour before sleep and the first hour after waking, can dramatically reduce anxiety symptoms for many people. As we bring our conversation to a close today, I want to emphasize that managing anxiety without medication isn't about white-knuckling through difficult feelings or denying valid emotional experiences. It's about working with your body and mind more skillfully, understanding the mechanisms behind anxiety, and creating conditions that support your natural capacity for calm and centeredness. These approaches, mindful awareness, physiological regulation, cognitive restructuring, social connection, and environmental design, offer multiple pathways to reduce anxiety's grip on your life. They require practice and patience, but they build lasting resilience rather than temporarily masking symptoms. What strategies have you found most helpful in managing your own anxiety? Has your understanding of anxiety changed over time? I'd love to hear your experiences and insights in the comments below. Your perspective might be exactly what another viewer needs to hear right now. If you found value in today's discussion, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel. Your support makes it possible for me to continue creating content that explores these important topics with the depth and nuance they deserve. Also, check the description box below for ways you can support this channel and help this conversation reach more people who might benefit from it. Until next time, remember that anxiety may be part of your experience, but it doesn't define who you are or what you're capable of. Take care.